Okay, this is a video on behavior self-monitoring, and there is a good entry on this in on the website, which you can read through and learn a little bit more about how to do it. Let's take a look at the document, the behavior self-monitoring document, which is linkable right here, and let's take a look at it. Are you tired of hearing this? Pay attention. Stop talking. Sit down. Sit still. Turn around, etc., etc., etc. If you're tired of hearing this, then what you can do is something called behavior or behavioral self-monitoring. And behavioral self-monitoring is something that you do yourself. You work with the teacher usually, and it can really help you improve good behaviors and stop or reduce undesirable behaviors. And so monitoring is when you monitor something, you keep an eye on it. You keep it in the front of your mind, like you monitor your appearance when you look in the mirror and you brush your hair or comb your hair every morning. You're looking in the mirror and monitoring it. And what you need to do also, in addition to monitoring how you look, you also need to monitor how you behave. And self-monitoring means that you monitor yourself. And it can work wonders with improving behavior because it really tunes you into what you're doing. And you can see numbers that go up or go down depending on how you're doing with the behavior that you're looking at. And that's called a target behavior. The behavior you're really targeting is called the target behavior. And so what you want to do is you want to have good behaviors go up and undesirable behaviors go down. And all you have to do this is just be aware of it, take quick regular notes about your behavior, and look at those notes to try to stop problems and patterns. And some people say please and yes, please. You can get better grades, get in less trouble, turn in more and better quality work, be hassled less, and go home after school and hang out with your friends instead of going to detention. So here's what the sheet looks like. Let me go to here. This is the behavioral self-monitoring sheet, and I'll just give you a quick look at it. You have the behaviors up here, and you have the times over here on the left, and then here's where you check things, and then at the end you add up the numbers and you make a little log entry or a little journal entry where you reflect on how you did that day. So let's take a look at it. This is all on the grade booster that's downloadable from the site. So here's an example, okay? Here's how you might fill out a sheet if you can't focus in class, for example. This is only an example. You should target whatever behaviors you want. So what you do, first of all, put your name and the date on the top. And then you've got to think about one or two, at the most three, three positive behaviors you should be doing at each check time. And by positive behavior, I mean that things that you want to see more of. Here are some examples. If you go to the end, here are some examples. Looking at the teacher, being awake and alert, having your hands and feet still, taking notes, working appropriately, and so forth. Okay, and those are called positive behaviors. And so, in other words, you don't want to put down don't fidget or stop talking. That's no good. You've got to have things positively. You've got to record what you want to have more of, because the key is that when positive behaviors increase, negative behaviors decrease because there's no time for the negative behaviors. Okay, so let's just say that this student is having a hard time focusing in class. You could write down awake and alert and actively listening. Okay, those are the two behaviors that you're targeting, but it could be any positive thing you want to see more of, like turning in work, checking your work before you turn it in, paying attention to the teacher, and so forth. And what you do is, now that you have the behaviors over here at the step 2, you write from 1 to 10 check times where you'll be checking your behavior. That's all. And you check the behavior at regular intervals. So it could be every 10 minutes, it could be every 5 minutes, it could be every 15 minutes. Whatever it depends on the student, whatever it is you want to do, whatever you think is appropriate. The general guide is to get started with every 5 minutes or every 10 minutes. And then as the numbers go up, you improve it, you increase it to maybe every 15 minutes or every 20 minutes and so forth. Okay, so let's say class starts at at 10:30. So we're just going to start this student out, and this student's going to check at 10:40, 50, 11, 11, 10, like every 10 minutes, obviously, for the 1 hour class, and that's how we'll start. And there's room for more if you want. Um, and then all you do is, at that time, if you're doing the behavior, you put a check mark. So at this time, at 10:40, the student was awake and alert and was actively listening. Okay, this column's blank because we don't have anything filled in here. At 10:50, no good. The student was not awake and not actively listening. At 11:10, the student was only listening, but had, let's say, the student may have had his or her head down. Okay, so maybe the head was down, the eyes were open, and the student was listening, but the head wasn't down. The head wasn't up. I mean, the head was down. And again, this is not an exact science. I mean, in other words, if you're going to try to figure out just exactly what does awake and alert mean, what does actively listening mean, you can really spend an enormous amount of time defining these behaviors. It's called an operational definition. And rather than go nuts with this and spend a half an hour defining what exactly does alert mean, just put down what you want. Just, I mean, if you think the student, if you should be awake and alert, just put down awake and alert. And if you want to put head up, put head up. If you want to put sit still, put sit still. I mean, you can really go crazy with trying to say what exactly does it mean to sit still. What if your foot is wiggling? What if your hand is wiggling? Don't get into that level of detail, because the minutiae of it will drive you nuts. Just put down what the general guideline of what it is you're looking for. Okay. So here, this example I was talking about, the student's head was down, but the student's eyes were opening and they were listening. So let's just say that doesn't mean awake and alert, but the student was listening, so you're going to check there. Okay? Like I said, you could argue one way or the other, but it's not an exact science, okay, because this is a quick and dirty way to improve behavior. Here at 11:20, the student was sleeping, let's just say, and then at 11:30, the student was awake and alert and actively listening. Okay, that's it. So you just put down the check marks if you're doing it at that time. And like it says here, you're doing this, by the way. You are the student. You are making these check marks. And just by improving your attention to these behaviors, it improves the likelihood that you're gonna do it. So you don't check it. Don't try to make yourself look good if you're doing this. Don't try to make yourself look good. Just check it if you're actually doing the behavior. Don't check it if you were planning on doing it, or if you were just about to do it, or if you had just stopped it. Just check it if you were actually doing the behavior at the check time. Okay? Really. I mean, because if you're gonna check things that are not valid or not check things that are valid, the whole thing becomes useless. Okay? If you really want to help, be truthful. Were you actively listening to the teacher at 11 o'clock? All right? And then at the bottom, what you do is you just add up the number of check boxes. So here at this column, you have a total of 3 checks. And here in this column, you have a total of 4 checks. And then what you do is you write a quick note, one sentence or a couple of little notes about how you did today, and how your numbers today compared to earlier days. And you might also note what you were doing. For example, you might say, today we were reading independently, or today we had presentations, or today we were doing library research. And then what you do is you do this day after day after day, and you get a picture. Okay, usually you start with about, maybe, let's say, like a 10-day trial. All right, so what you do is, you see how the numbers are doing over time, and you can start to see a relationship between the days of the week, or what you're doing in class, and your numbers. And as the numbers get better, and as you approach the maximum possible number for each day, then you can fade this out and say, okay, well, now I'm going to be doing this every 15 minutes or every 30 minutes, or maybe I'm going to start doing it not every day, but I'm going to do it every other day, or I'm going to do it Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and then maybe I'll do it Tuesdays and Thursdays. And then you eventually fade it out when you and your teacher have determined that your behavior is really improved to the point where it's no longer an issue and it's no longer interfering with your academic success. So what you do is for page 3, just print out as many copies as you want. When you print the grade booster, it has this first page, second page, third page, and fourth page. That's it. But let's say you want 10, you can just go to page 3 and just print 10 copies of page 3. Okay, and there's a little bit more information and a little bit more guidance on the web page, which you can take a look at, and then you can print this as much as you want, use it as much as you want. It's all free. And when you start doing this, I mean, if you're really having a hard time with your behavior, when you start doing this and you start monitoring it every day, you will find that the good behaviors increase and the less desirable behaviors decrease. It's really an effective way. I mean, it may not work perfectly, but it will certainly, it is very likely to to result in improvement in your behavior and just how you're doing in class in general. So give it a shot, and hope it's helpful, and I'll see you in another video.